Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. The Chicago Cubs are going to be a part of the 2023 season. Dansby, Taillon, what are they up to? Rodón to the Yanks and a couple other moves. It's Players Home. Hello and welcome to Talking Baseball. Myself, Jake Stromboli, Trevor Plouffe, Big Baby Davis on the ones and twos. John, he's at his winter meetings right now. We between Thanksgiving, Christmas, winter meetings, and we had another big blitzball thing going on. By the way, big blitzball thing tomorrow night or tonight when you're listening to this. Go check it out on Warehouse Games. The Forgotten Rotten. Trev, your Forgotten Rotten in another championship game versus Nicky Cass, Dalton Feely, and the Lovias. Make sure you check that out, 6 p.m. Monday night. Trev, how you doing, Big Daddy?
Jake and BBD, it's great to see you on this Sunday morning. Yes, we're recording it for the fans now because, look, so much stuff has happened. We got to cover it all. I'm doing well. You know, the blitzball thing, I got to say, I love Nicky Cass off the field. On the field, probably the most hated I've ever had someone in my mind, like playing against. Like, I cannot stand Nicky Cass on the field. And I think it shows up during the game. But, dude, let's talk about some of these moves. Let's get right into it.
And Nicky Cass, big reason I ran into Vinnie Pasquantino last night. I've got to tell that story at the end of this. But you're right, Trev. First, we got to talk about the Chicago Cubs because they brought in Jameson Taillon, our guy, big coffee dude, nice little contract. Sure, middle of the rotation guy. All right, Cubs, what else? Dansby Swanson. They were rumored to be in on all the big shortstops. There is one left. I was wondering, would Boston get involved? With the Dodgers, they haven't really made their move. The Cubs had been rumored. They did it, Trev. They bring in Dansby. What is it, 7 for 177? Did I get that right? Holy smokes.
Something right around there. And they've been rumored this entire time. They wanted to bring in one of these shortstops. The other guys went off the market, and here they go and bring in Dansby at last. We were talking about, does the fact that Dansby's now wife playing soccer in Chicago, does that get him to go there? And I think Chris Rose was like, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at all. But when you're doing these negotiations and maybe this was the best offer, maybe it wasn't, maybe it was similar, but when there's things like that pulling you, I think it probably did factor into the decision, but also playing, for the Cubs at Wrigley is very attractive to a lot of baseball players. Chicago's a great city. The Cubs have a great fan base. You're going to get treated well. So I think this is a great all-around fit. I'm kind of looking at the Cubs roster, and there's a few things they could still do, but they've made some moves. We keep thinking about them as, this team that's in a transition. Where are they at? Are they going for it? Are they rebuilding? What's going on? Are they retooling? I think they're going to be competitive in a division that's not very competitive. I don't think they're at the Cardinals level yet, Jake, but a few additions here and there, and we could be talking about this team competing for the NL Central.
Yeah, I hate to have some dumb irony here, but if this roster had Anthony Rizzo, I think I really like this team. It feels like they're missing one kind of consistent bopper, and first base is kind of available for them right now. Alfonso Rivas listed as their starting first baseman. I'm just happy for Cubs fans. They still didn't know where their team's head was at. They brought in Stroman last year. They brought in Belly. Ian Happ has his free agency coming up, 9-figure Happ. Maybe 10 figures with the way the CBA is working nowadays. Sheesh. And then they bring in my guy Taillon, and you're like, all right, pencil that in for, 165 good MLB innings, however it ends up looking. But it's still, you're right. Compared to the Cardinals, they weren't there. The Brewers are retooling. They're going to be one of our more fun PPPs this year. The Brewers sneaky added Jesse Winker to the middle of that lineup. They added another righty bat too. I'm blanking, but they were retooling on the fly. But the Cubs, You bring in a dude, man, and the biggest thing that was kind of driving me nuts about Dansby's free agency, because I get it. Some of his early career hitting stats aren't that impressive. Even the past 3 years where he's been pretty consistent and he's, a 110 OPS guy, OPS plus guy. But from shortstop, that's super important. And everyone's freaking out about his arm and his defense. He won the Gold Glove last year. It's working for now. I don't know when the wheels are going to fall off on it, but for now, you just got the all JM shortstop from last season, and you got it at the cheapest shortstop contract. So I'm interested. How do you feel about all that? I mean, compared to the other shortstop contracts where Dansby landed.
Well, I think that this is like the price of doing business nowadays, especially with this CBA. So yeah, I mean, like we're getting guys making $300 million. I never want to like encourage teams to spend less, but I mean, look, this is still a contract that the Cubs can surely afford to go do more stuff with. And you're right, they do need to add some more pieces. First base is there, probably a rotation piece, because right now it's like Taillon, Hendricks, Stroman, and then a couple other guys. Like I'd like to see them add something there. But yeah, I mean, look, there were 4 good shortstops available, and you got one of them. I think you should be really happy about that. And there is something to be said about guys figuring some stuff out, okay? You could look at the 5-7 WAR last year and say, well, that's by far his biggest output of his career, and maybe it's an outlier. But you could also say, hey, maybe he's kind of figured this thing out a little bit. He's 28 years old right now. That's like kind of when guys used to be entering their prime. Like, give the guy a chance to prove the Cubs front office right. And I think you like the guy, and I think he'll be a good presence in the clubhouse. He's a winner. He's a star. He really is, man. Like, so be happy. But the Cubs, I think you just got to go just a little bit further. Just a little bit further.
I feel that. Go a little bit further. In your Muggsy jeans, I think they've got some Chicago roots to them. I was wearing my Muggsies last night. I wear my Muggsies almost every day. If you don't know, they're the most comfortable jeans on the planet, and they're having their biggest sale of the year. Do you like that? That sounds pretty nice. Entire site will be up to 30% off all of your favorites with free shippings and free returns. So if you get a pair, they're a little too snug, a little too baggy, free return, send it back. They'll get you the right one. Man, the holidays are like full blown here, Trev. Sheesh, man. What happened? So you need to go to Muggsy.com. No code needed for the 30% off the entire site. No code. Just go to Muggsy.com. It's simple as that. Simple as that for your simple ass Kid Cudi. Thank you, Muggsy. They are the exclusive gene of John Boy himself. I don't think we can fully say John Boy Media, but they are the official gene of John Boy himself. No code. Go check out Muggsy.com. It's Muggsy. So Trev, I guess we should wrap up on the Cubs before we move on. Do you expect another move? Is that weird to say? Because it feels like they need either one piece on the hitting side or one piece on the pitching side to get all of us like, all right, Cubbies, let's go.
I do expect another move. I expect like a rotation piece, some sort of depth there to come their way. And then also, yeah, probably a corner infielder. And there's some veteran guys available. Would Longo look good in a Cubs uniform? Would he go out there? I know our boy Wisdom has kind of been playing some third base, but I don't know, man. I see them bringing in either a first baseman or a third baseman and probably some rotation depth. And then if you do that, the roster kind of starts to round out. And again, like this is not some banger of a division, dude. Like make the right moves, have some guys step up. Dansby, like work that plate discipline, get that on base percentage up. The slugging, I think, will be there in Wrigley for him. I'm starting to like the team, but I liked the team before, and last year we kind of got giddy about when we were doing the PPPs or the TPPs. What the fuck are they called? And then it didn't really happen for them. So, I think I always kind of just associate the Cubs with, having some sort of stuff figured out, but maybe I should stop that and really take a look.
Last year, I was giving speeches
We were
about
like Clint
Rafael
Frazier, they could do it.
Rafael Ortega, and like, how is this all going to work? And it didn't. That was the end point of it. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple interesting guys. I guess you just wonder. Brandon Drury. We've been wondering where our guy Brandon Belt is going to end up. Like, even a couple of those small things that would help make us feel a little better, because they would still need a lot to go right, and they would need a lot to go wrong with the Cardinals to really become, I don't know, for the Cubs to be back in the NL Central. But you have to love it as a Cubs fan. I don't think I saw any Cubs fans being like, oh my God, we Game 7, because I don't know, juxtaposed to those other contracts, I think I'd rather have Dansby's contract potentially over Bogart's, but I don't know. Who cares? You get one of the best players in baseball, figure it out later. Trev, I think we're jumping to your Yanks. Me and Jamalam.com did with BBD on Talkin' Yanks. Go check it out if you want the full flushed out thoughts. But Carlos Rodón is a Yankee. One of the moves that was somewhat rumored from the start of the offseason. But to be fair, this guy was rumored with a lot of teams because he's been incredible the past couple seasons. Yankees, Garrett Cole, Nestor, Sevy. They add Rodón to the mix, more of a power lefty to pair with Cortez from the left side. What do you think of the move from the Yanks?
Well, obviously, I love the move for the Yanks, but I want to mention, we keep talking about Steve Cohen, and he's the new Yankees, if that makes any sense. He's the new boss in town, spending all this fucking money. And I think the Steinbrenners kind of saw that. And then with the Aaron Judge thing, yes, that was a lot of money. But in my opinion, that was the bare minimum. And that's kind of weird to say $360 million is the bare minimum you could do. But if you're the Yankees, signing Judge is the bare minimum for the offseason. So if you do that, you're happy, obviously. But hey, we need to go get more. I think Rodón is that kind of FU move. We're going to go after this, because now the rotation sets up to be one of the best in baseball. I have to check every rotation out before I put out my updated rankings, but it's going to be one of the best in baseball. Frankie Montas is going to be your 5-starter. You got some guys there. So I like that. I still think they need to continue to add to that lineup because, as we saw last year, it can get a little top heavy there, and we can have some outs at the bottom of that lineup. I think they're going to probably rely on some of the young guys, and that's kind of what I'm gathering. But the Rodón move, to me, again, this is an answer. We're still the Yankees. We're still going to go get guys when we want to go get guys. And I know you guys have to be happy with this because he's a fucking animal, man.
He's the stats don't lie. And by the way, the contract 6 years, 162. In the days leading up, people were rumoring 7-8 because he's 30 years old. We saw Jacob deGrom at 35 get a 5-year deal, and in this year of free agency, Bogey brought in 11. We've seen a 13er out there. You were wondering where it was going to land with Rodón as kind of the last big fish pitcher. So when 6 for 162 dropped, I mean, I know me and BBD looked at each other and kind of shrugged that's fine. Roll him out there. And yeah, it's this, the Yankees have a new window right now where you brought Judgy back and you're paying him a ton of money. You brought in Garrett Cole and you're paying him a ton of money. That if you're not attacking it now, I mean, 5 years from now, the Yankees could be a little funky to watch, man. I mean, what's Aaron Judge look like in 5 years? What's Stanton look like in 5 years? What's Cole?
Is he still going to be under contract in 5 years, Stanton?
I think Stanton has 5 left. So, but in 4.
So there's going to be an interesting stretch 5 years, 4 years down the road for these Yankees, but for now, you need to attack the window, and they've got some youth on the way, some big prospects in Volpe and Peraza that everyone's been waiting to see. Dominguez has been waiting in the wings for a while, and now the question is, are they going to flip them to kind of retool that left side? Because people thought they were in on Benintendi. He signs with the White Sox. We'll probably dive into that more next step with John Boy. But man, if they didn't do Rodón, and this is snooty Yankee stuff, then the Yankees kind of had like 3 to 5 moves they were going to have to do, and we didn't know what they were. I mean, were they going to cash in all their prospects? Bring in Rodón. Your rotation's pretty good. I mean, you've got 4 you love. Montas is your question mark, and he had a tough sample size and an injury with the Yankees. They got to retool that left side, and I wonder if it's trade market, or I wonder if it's just they bring in a couple shots at left field, and if they need to make big moves at the deadline, they can do that.
I don't want to I love my Twins, right?
Sure.
I love Minnesota. They're my people. My son was born there. They got a lot of outfield depth. That's the talk of the town, getting rid of some of those guys. I know Joe's McFly is on record as saying he doesn't want Max Kepler, but they got a lot of different guys out there, and it wouldn't surprise me if something like that happened. I think the trade market for them probably does make a little bit more sense, because who's really out there on the free agent side that makes sense for them in left field right now?
Not a lot, man. I mean, there's
Conforto, maybe
Conforto's, like David Peralta, your Jerkson Profar. You're just starting to get to a different, a different level of ball player. Not to be shots fired at Profar. It was great last year. I think he's going to get a nice contract, but it's probably not the piece the Yankees need, but we'll see.
To me, I'm like, let's get someone that can play some defense. I know left field and it's small out there in the corners, but when I think about the Yankees, I'm like, okay, they had a really good year defensively last year, right?
Yeah.
Let's keep adding to that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Or I mean, do they need a bopper out there? I guess you can go either way. I would hope you get a little bit of defense, but you could also use some more bats there towards the end of the lineup. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, because from talking to you guys and kind of like seeing what they did last year and holding on to all these guys, like I'd assume they're going to try to do some youth movement stuff there in the infield, and maybe they have too much depth there now. I don't know if that makes sense. Kind of at the top level minor league, you have those guys, and you either got to play them or you got to trade them.
I mean, the Yankees have now passed. I think I saw the tweet the other day, and I forget who it was, so I should give someone credit. But it was now in the past 2 years, the Yankees have passed on 8 all-star shortstops. So if you do that and you have Peraza and Volpe on the way, 2 guys, Volpe, I mean, they treat as the next Judge. Like he's become a religious figure within the Yankees org. So I think at some point you got to find out this year. Everyone's kind of assuming they're going to do 2 months in the minor leagues with him, though. So that leaves Peraza, who played a little bit at the end of last year, but they gave him kind of the Jeter Doc treatment. And then we've got our guy Oswaldo Cabrera hanging around, who's got the necklace. He came in with swag. He can play everywhere. And he's in discussions for left field, shortstop, or trade. So I don't know. I think for me, I think the move is a left fielder. I know Kepler's been rumored. Brian Reynolds has been on a lot of teams' rumor list. And it is a big left field, so you need kind of a rangy guy out there. It's how Brett Gardner racked up all that WAR that makes some Yankee fans mad. I would love if they bring in a left fielder. You can begin to talk yourself into everything else between the prospects. Does Josh Donaldson bounce back at all? He was incredible defensively last year, but he was awful offensively. You've now given yourself options that when you come up to the trade deadline, you still know you're going to need a couple things. Every team does, but their bullpen's in a good place. Their rotation's in a good place. The top of the lineup, well, outside of kind of a true leadoff guy, we'll see where DJ LeMahieu's at. But no, Yankee fans, I think when they signed Rodón, it was a little bit of an exhale, which is completely obnoxious.
It's not obnoxious. That's what you should expect from the Yankees. I love it, man. I love it. Quick before we move on.
Yeah.
There are times when the student becomes the teacher.
Yes.
I think it might be time, as I'm working with Tuck in the cage and as I'm getting my bearings back as a hitter, and I'm like, oh, I know how to teach this. Do I need to call JD? Do I need to call JD and say, let me help you this time, bro?
Yeah.
You're still playing, and I'll help you get the Yankees back to the promised land. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Depends how you treat me over the next month or so, okay?
Is that your official offer to JD?
I could take a look at some things, take a look under the hood. You know what I mean?
I do. Speaking of looking under your hood, Manscaped. Fellas, This episode of Talking
I
Baseball is
just
brought to you.
manscaped.
Just manscape
I
it,
just
JD. The global leaders in below the waist grooming. Wow, that's a big one. And they got their
Facts.
brand new. They got some new products, Trev. They've got the cologne, a little cologne for you. I mean, hey, they got everything else. Why not? I know Poppy could use that. And they've got a new Persevere body wash. Jim's going to be all about that. And with code Talkin, you'll get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. 2023 is on its way, and the last thing you want to do is be the guy with the pubes getting in your way of making it your best yet. No lies detected, man.
Okay.
Like, imagine if you let those pubes ruin your year. Just get rid of them.
I mean, it's a good point. You don't want to go into the new year just straight Reggie Bush in it. Get the Performance Package 4.0, 20% off and free shipping with code Talkin. That's code Talkin at manscaped.com, 20% off. Are you?
I keep it high and tight.
Yeah. Is Reggie Bush your dude? Wasn't he at some LA thing you were at?
He coached my son in football. We're not
Dude,
friends. I mean, look, I'm not like saying I wouldn't be friends with him, but we're not friends.
Where
Saying
things currently
Reggie-
stand.
Saying Reggie Bush coached your son is pretty badass, man.
Should have thrown my son the ball more.
Yeah, well, we that'll be up in the final hour. All right, so where are we jumping, boys? We got Rodón, or we did the Cubbies, we did Rodón.
I say we move on to everybody's got a new catcher segment.
Every new segment alert, everybody's got a new catcher. So we haven't done WIllson Contreras, we haven't done the Sean Murphy trade, Zunino, Vazquez, Narvaez. Our guy Hedges signs yesterday to the Pirates. Let's go, baby. So I guess it does deserve to be mentioned. We did all that Cubs talk. WIllson Contreras out into division competitor, the St. Louis Cardinals. So that feels like a big one. And then the big trade, and then we should do the rest. But maybe we do WIllson as we already did some Cubs talk.
We have to decide right now if WIllson is the new Adam Frazier or Adam Frazier is going to continue to be Adam Frazier, because he did just sign with the Orioles, I believe. Maybe we'll talk about that next episode.
I think next episode we talk about the Adam Frazier signing.
Okay. All right, we'll start with WIllson Contreras. 5 years, 87.5, goes to the Cardinals, saying all the right things. I love this move. I think the Cardinals have made like some of the smarter moves in baseball over the last couple of years. It's kind of shown up for them. Arenado, thank you, Rockies, for paying for us to have him. That's one of the all-time heists in baseball. We talked about this at the trade deadline. Would the Cubs do it? Would the Cubs send him over to the Cardinals? It didn't end up happening. But now they kind of get their guy. And like I said, at the press conferences, he's been saying, look, Cardinals fans know me from the Cubs. They might have hated me there, but when I'm on your team, you're going to love me. I play with passion and drive and all this stuff. And he's showing respect to Yachty, and he's saying all the right things. Now, I think the biggest thing for him to do, we know he's going to show up offensively. We'll see how much he actually ends up catching. I think that's important to figure out. Is he going to be 130 games behind the plate type of guy? Like, I don't think he is going to be that. Probably some more DH stuff like that. But it's going to be important for him to learn that staff and to be able to call a good game, because those dudes in the Cardinals rotation are so used to that. Having, maybe the best catcher of all time defensively. I don't know. People are probably going to be mad if I say that. I'm not even sure about the numbers on that, but one of, okay, people. Yeah. That's something that pitchers really love. Consistency behind the plate, knowing the game plan and how he sets up and all that. That's going to be different. I think it's going to be okay. Obviously, you have spring training to work through it, and Waino back helping kind of the transition, I think, is really cool. And I wonder if Yachty kind of has some sort of role in this transition. To me, it makes sense that he would. And that's saying a lot about the Cardinals and the relationship that Yadier Molina has with the city.
Well, the two things you mentioned there, St. Louis being one of the best baseball cities and well-run organizations, times Yachty, who, is a legend in his own right. Yeah, you wonder if we start a little catching tradition here in St. Louis. I'm fascinated to see the next step because, Willson Contreras is going to hit. That's kind of all he's done. He's had a positive OPS plus every year except one. And that was 2018. He was still an all-star that year. Career 808 OPS. I guess the thing that I don't know, because, a reminder, the Talkin' Baseball New Year reminder, your team better than us. Like, I've seen Willson Contreras catch, but I haven't watched Willson Contreras catch, over a 4-game set. So going from Yachty, who's, one of the kingpins of baseball catching, like if there was a book that came out like how to catch at the MLB level, Yachty or Molina would be featured on one of the first few chapters. Now, Willson Contreras, a guy that the Cubs, it seemed like for years were almost trying to get off catcher. Remember, they signed Yan Gomes and, he's playing left field and he's moved around a little bit. The kid can hit. And it seems like they're locking him in to be their catcher, which, hey, in 2021, he caught 116 games at catcher, which that's a big boy number at catcher at the MLB level. So just interested to see St. Louis's reaction to Willson Contreras as the catcher, because, for 5 years, again, Father Time kicks in more. I know it didn't with Yachty, basically, but I want to see how Cardinals fans react to his defense. And maybe I wonder if there is like a Yachty pride thing with Willson that he's like, if I'm going to be catching in St. Louis, I better raise my game to the next level, which, again, with all that Cubs talk we just had, if Willson Contreras becomes a little nastier defensively going to the Cardinals, that would grind your gears a little bit, huh?
I think if you're the Cardinals, you kind of look at it like this. Like, sure, you want premium defense at every position, but you have to find a balance between, offensive production and defense. The guys that can do both, we know what those guys go for. We all know them. They're the superstars in the game. It's very hard to be elite at both. There's very few players that can do that. But when you're looking at like, catchers and like OPS and offensive production, like his numbers are like way at the top.
Right.
So maybe you're like, if we can have that big of an advantage offensively from this production, we can take a little bit of hit on the defensive side. They're going to have the time, like I said, in spring training where he's going to have to really learn the pitching staff. And what's funny is when you see new catchers come in, I've seen this a couple different times now in spring training, usually like the veterans, guys that are getting deals like this, they don't fucking catch bullpens. They play the game and they do this, they do that. This dude is going to have to be out there bright and early, catching those bullpens, making sure he's in all the pitchers and catchers meetings, learning and every single day. So this spring training, it's going to be a lot different for Contreras, but I think he's going to welcome the opportunity. And once you get into that organization, I feel like it's pretty easy for guys to buy in. And I know people may not like to hear like Cardinals way or whatever. They're a well-run organization. They have the veterans there that kind of like make you respect the jersey. And when you're around those guys that put in the work, like they do, like we know all those guys in the Cardinals do, it just influences you. So whether he was planning on doing this already or not, he's going to get into that clubhouse and he's going to work because that's what they do in that organization.
Yeah, and it feels like one of those things that, if you painting isn't the right comparison, but it's what is in my head right now. Like, hey, Willson Contreras, if you go out and you go to spring training and you paint that house 20 times this spring training, you won't have to paint it again. Like if you put in that time now, then people won't call you out. And there's just easy articles that like, Willson, there's only one veteran player at the field at 7 a.m. today. It's Willson Contreras. And he's working with, so I expect those out of St. Louis spring training. And sorry about the painting thing.
I don't know what that was about.
That
but
just
I will,
got weird.
I want to tell you this. I'm going to give up a secret of mine. Okay.
Okay.
I'm Coach Trev. I coach a little bit here and there. Mostly I am. Guys can come to me if they need some advice. But one thing I always tell guys, especially in spring training or if like you have some question marks about your defense, I say, you know what? Go do your work. and do it in front of people. People always say, oh, it's all about the work behind the scenes. Bullshit. Sometimes you need to go work and let everyone see you so everyone can start talking about it. Just like you're saying, oh shit, Contreras was out there before anyone, working on his framing, working on his on blocking drills. Yachty's out there with them. Holy shit, like this guy's into it. And then you start to believe it too because it's out there in the press and people are asking, oh, you're working so hard. You're like, fuck yeah, I am. And it snowballs from there. So that old adage of do the work behind the scenes, sure, you have to do some work behind the scenes, but also do it in front of everybody because it holds you accountable too.
Yeah,
I'm serious about that. I've given that advice out a lot. Hey, you want to bust the rumors or the talk that you're not working hard defensively? Go fucking work hard defensively in front of everybody.
Right. It's one of those chicken or the egg thing. Like, if you're out there fielding grounders before the game and the media happens to see that, guess what? Now I know. If you have a third baseman who has a bad day at the office and then you don't hear or see that, you assume you're like, I don't know, show guy and taking care of himself, but also just as a fan or the media,
yeah,
it's
he's
not
working out there. It's okay. He's working out there. He's putting in the work.
You don't have to be Scott Boras at winter meetings. Like you don't have to take grounders in the parking lot in front of everyone, but showing people you're doing the work is also doing the work. So I've got no qualms with that.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I need to start like a consulting firm. I got all these little tricks that, kept me in the big leagues long enough. I figured some things out.
Your guy, Scotty B. And by the way, just going roster resource and clicking between the Cubs and the Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals are
it's a different animal.
Yes. I mean, they have, if you take Goldie and Arenado off the Cardinals, then you kind of have the Cubs. But so those are two MVP guys. Let's see if the Cubs have any other moves in them. Good for the Cardinals, a little catching tradition there. And then Trev, it's pretty nuts. The other big one here is the three-way trade that your
have we
boy
not talked about this?
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. When the offseason starts to go, Sean Murphy, one of the best
butts in the league.
Best butts in the league, top 3 young catcher, something like that. If you haven't heard much about him, unfortunately, that's the Oakland effect. Traded to the Braves. They kind of make their move. They give up Kyle Mueller, the young pitcher for them. They give up William Contreras. So the Contreras bros are both going to be in the Central. That was the other big righty I was thinking about that the Brewers brought in. A's, they get a handful of prospects. Everyone loves super utility man Esteury Ruiz. There's a couple other guys. I could tell you about Freddie Tarnock's strikeout numbers, but I don't think we need to. Brewers get William Contreras. Joel Payamps, fun name. Guy had a kind of a breakout year a little bit last year. But I mean, Sean Murphy headlines the deal. He'll be catching for the Braves. And also William Contreras out is big news. So, Trev, I know you're pretty connected to Atlanta as you're kind of their oracle. So what was your reaction? And kind of I want to do a little bit what Braves fans were feeling because their online reaction wasn't like stoked. I saw a lot of people asking, like, is Willy Adames in this? Like, are we getting a shortstop too? They get Sean Murphy, who's an all JM type guy.
I've given my take on baseball today, my show I do with Chris Rose, that beautiful human being.
Yes.
This is what I said. This is what I think about this whole trade. I think I'm happy for the Braves because this is what smart teams do. If you can find an upgrade at positions, and this guy is bangers defensively and can hit, like, you don't find catchers that can do that. We just talked about William Contreras, and we said, we know he can hit. Well, Summer's kind of one of those unicorns, especially at the catching position. So did they give up some prospects? Sure, but that's what it's all about. The Major League roster is what it's about. And you have this awesome team, and now you're improving one of your holes that you have. And they have very few holes to fill, and they did it. Okay, I think what we're going to see is Murphy. I think d'Arnaud is going to stay there. I think they're going to kind of be the 1-2, and I think that's great. For the Brewers side of it, you get one player and you get 3 players. You bring in a guy that was an all-star last year. You needed some thump. You kind of got it. I think it's good for them. I think they were like, what? We can do this and get these guys? Okay, sure. We want to be part of this 3-team trade? Sure. And then for the A's, I can care less, man. I don't like talking about them. I don't like the way they run their team. Every single time somebody gets good and gets a little bit of recognition, they trade them away. And I know that's like, I mean, can you say beating a dead horse? I don't think you can say that anymore.
That's out.
Oh, I just did it though.
Yeah, a couple things.
I can't with the A's. Look, I mean, we know this is how they run their team, so you have to expect it. But if you're a fan, you're like, come on, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
No, it's A's fans. Trev was beating the DH there or whatever. No, it stinks. I mean, look at Matt Olson, your first baseman for the Braves as well. Like that, there's something that's actually sickening to being an Oakland Athletics fan that, we do bring up when we have to, because it's brutal. I mean, if that organization was run differently, like look at San Diego right now. Oakland could be that. You just need a ballpark and an owner who cares. And they're so far away from that. That stinks. For the Braves, I love them getting Murphy, one of the top catchers in the game. I think him leaving Oakland will be good for him. Going to a class.
No shit, dude.
Going to a class
to go to this team.
Yeah, right. Going to a class organization. You got studs all around you. I think we're going to be talking about Sean Murphy a lot more, which is good for him and good for baseball in a way. Again, sorry, Athletics fans. And hey, clicking from the Cubs to the Cardinals to now the Braves, we're seeing a different tier of baseball team. The Cardinals are the Braves without Ronald Acuna Jr. and Michael Harris. So the Braves are stacked. I guess the conversation was, were they going to get a shortstop, or do they believe in Vaughn Grisham? Who, by the way, raked last year. So if they do, all right, you might have your next 22-year-old shortstop. Do you think they're going to do anything there?
I'm not so sure. It doesn't seem like it. The more and more I know hindsight's 2020 with the whole Dansby situation. I thought he might go back there because it just seemed like, I told C Rose, if it ain't broke, don't break it. But that's not the way they operate, dude. Like they're not going out and paying free agents. They're either signing you young, or like with the Matt Olson thing, like they had that plan. You trade for him and then extend him. I think they were saying, look, Dansby, thank you for your service, but we have enough in our roster that we can give Grisham a chance and not have to give this massive spike in payroll. And now we can still have flexibility for during the year. If an injury happens or we seem to be deficient at a position, we still can go make a move. I think this is just the Braves doing exactly what they've been doing, which is smart roster development.
And this is a little obnoxious, but go look at the Braves roster right now. Mike Soroka's their 5-starter.
Please, Lord, can we see him? Please, Lord.
The last two guys in their bullpen who aren't long relief are Kirby Yates and Nick Anderson. Two guys that have been at the peak of the profession, and those are their bonus pieces to Minter, Iglesias, Jimenez, McHugh. So the Braves are stacked. I do want to spend more time on the Brewers part of this, because I was mentioning it with the Cubs and the Cardinals. Like you said, this is so Brewers. It's very kind of clever and sneaky, and they almost probably couldn't believe they were involved in this trade. Now in the middle of their lineup, they had William Contreras, 25-year-old all-star catcher, bing bong. And they threw in Jesse Winker, who's, had his one bad year last season. Seattle cut bait and sold low and on his salary, where I think Milwaukee was like, well, we get 1 year of him and we tap in. I don't know. I'm interested to see. They're going to depend a lot on their young guys. Is Garrett Mitchell a guy? Urias, can he put it together for a full season? But when you see Yeli, Adames, Tellez, Contreras, Winker, I don't know. You just picked up a kind of a dude in Contreras. And if Jesse Winker's any semblance of who he was, this might be the best Brewers lineup we've seen in a little bit. And that's what we've been asking for.
You're right. I mean, look, they're going to find a way to piece it together to be competitive. And that's what they do. I think we all asked, like, can you do more than that, though, because you got this pitching staff, and this is what teams dream of. Having those top 3 guys, like, teams, that's when they go. So I like what they've done. I still implore them to, like, let's go make a splash, dude. Like, can we go all in? Can we do that? Or at least any semblance of it? Because I don't think this is that yet. And I think we're still saying, well, a lot of things have to go right, and we're gonna have to have big years from this guy and that guy. When it's like, you know what? And I don't even know who's available for them that they can go out and get right now. There's still some guys out there, I know that, but via trade, something. I would like to see them make another big move before the season.
And I think big move, actually me and I think BBD witnessed it. I forget if it was talking baseball or talking Yanks, but me and Jimmy debated if this Sean Murphy 3-way trade was a big trade, and you just get into a gray area of what counts as big. When you say the Brewers make another big move, it's out there to be had. The name that I keep coming back to, because I remember he was rumored there last time, was our guy Justin Turner. Are the Dodgers ready to move on from him? He had like the best second half of any player in the league. Like, does he want to make a later in his career appearance in Milwaukee? Is he going back to the Dodgers? Because they really haven't made too many moves. What's going on there? But yeah, right now the Brewers are kind of banging with the Cubs, and they're a move or two away from us being like, it's going to be them and the Cardinals again, and let's see what happens.
Turner makes so much sense there. I know they offered him last year, I believe.
Right.
So they've shown interest. I would love him to go there. I think that'd be a very seamless fit.
The fine people of Milwaukee would love him. Kyle Mueller, go be a stud in Oakland, and we'll see you get traded in a year and a half. That's kind of the best advice we can give you. Trev, let's wrap it up. I have a funny Vinnie Pasquantino story, and I just want to get your thoughts on a couple other things. And those thoughts are brought to you by Athletic Greens, AG1. You mentioned your show, Baseball Today, with Chris Rose, big Athletic Greens guy, athletic, sexual man. Everyone was watching him yesterday as he was presenting that Cleveland football game. Vinnie Pasquantino, oh my God, huge Chris Rose fan.
I'm sure. Who isn't?
He was like, dude, I can't believe you work with Chris Rose. I was like, he's all right, man. Like, he's a nice guy. Like, don't
kind of a dork.
Don't get weird about it. Athletic Greens. If you're looking to get a little healthier, one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, and probiotics to start your day right. New Year's coming up. Get it tight. It's time. And one of the best things with Athletic Greens, they use the best of the best products based on latest science, which is constant product iterations and third-party testing. That means they're always trying to get better. Trev.
I'm going to just give my real review of Athletic Greens, because I am a guy who likes to start my day with an Athletic Greens. And since I've been doing that, my energy levels have skyrocketed. I do it on an empty stomach, people. First thing in the morning. And look at me. Look how good I look. And it's early here in California.
Hot.
So do it.
And we got to get you to the tennis court. Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/baseball. How about it? athleticgreens.com/baseball. Take ownership over your health and pick the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. That's athleticgreens.com/baseball.
Yeah.
Trev, let me tell you, I got to get the full Vinnie Pasquantino story off my chest because that's
hot.
That's been burning me. And then
get Vinnie off your chest.
If there, there's a popular bar in NYC that's known as the Gem Saloon. It's more of a younger kids bar. I've already put in my time there as a youth. I ended up there last year. It turns out it was a friend, significant other's birthday. You know, we had drinks otherwheres. We were like, let's pop in there for one, blah, blah, blah. So this is last December, and a guy comes up to me and he says, you know, I'm getting a little love in the city these days. And he's like, hey, I'm love what you guys are doing for the game. I'm Vinnie Pasquantino's friend on the Royals. And I was like, all right. This is before Vinnie P got called up for the Royals. So I think I'd heard the name, but also, not super familiar. By the way, Trev, go check out the kid's stat page. 800 OPS, more walks than strikeouts as a rook. Yes, Trev. His stat page is going to blow your mind. So whatever. I give a little dap and I'm like, all right, nice to see you, but I'm here with some friends. Thank you. I get a call from Nicky Cass last night, and he says, you big timed Vinnie Pasquantino. And I was like, what? I haven't big timed anyone. And he goes, yeah, he saw you at some bar it's something like the Gem Salon last year. And I was like, time out. That was Vinnie? It was Vinnie Pasquantino.
Oh,
I didn't realize.
Oh, no.
He hadn't been called up to the show yet. So then I heard about this. I messaged Vinnie, and he was back there. He was visiting a friend. So I went downtown. I had the hour and a half I needed to get down there. Yuck it up with him. Awesome dude. I think the biggest takeaway is Trev, your and BBD's reaction to his baseball reference page. The dude can hit. Number 2, awesome dude, sports guy. I mentioned how much he liked Chris Rose, and he's a big baseball fan, which not all baseball players are big baseball fans, but he's like, the reason he loves Rose, he's like, I grew up on Intentional Talk. Me and my mom used to watch Intentional Talk every day. So Vinnie Pasquantino, a dude, I kind of accidentally big timed him, but now we're friends.
Did he mention me at all? Like he enjoys my work?
There wasn't a ton of Trev talk.
Okay, now I can say what I want to say then.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about Vinnie Pastano. I still wasn't sure who that was that you were talking about. Vinnie Pastano was a pitcher that I faced that was with the Indians at the time. But this is a young stud.
Yes.
That flew over my head right there.
Okay.
And then I just checked out his baseball reference page. And yes, it's kind of boner central, bro.
Yeah.
The Italian breakfast, the Italian nightmare. Is that what we're doing? You Italian boys love to stick together.
Yeah.
Kind of love it. I did fit in really well in Italy, so maybe I'm kind of in that crew. A Frenchman in Italy sounds good.
You've got White Lotus season 2 vibes.
Hey, yeah, I'll tell you this. I'll never make that mistake again. Vinny, you are on my radar now, and I hope that you watch baseball today because it's better than Intentional Talk.
Woo, sheesh. And yeah, by the way, I don't know. Clicking around, we're not to the TPPs yet, but are the Royals closer to the Cubs than the Cubs are closer to the Cardinals? I don't know. Yarby on there. Trev, any other baseball stuff you need to get off your chest? I know why don't we just clean up some of I guess Zunino, Vazquez, or maybe is it twin talk right now? Vazquez and Gallo, you drinking the Kool-Aid?
I don't know if I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on the Twins just yet. I think there's more moves to be made. Like I mentioned before, there's kind of a lot of outfielders out there between, Nick Gordon, Royce Lewis, Larnach, Kepler, Kirilloff. Like there's a lot of guys out there. So I think there are some trades that are going to be made. Vazquez, you want to have a veteran catcher there. I'm down for that. Gallo, I think, on a cheap deal, maybe they think they can tap into something. He played in New York and LA. That's a lot of distraction going on. Bring it on home to Minnesota, Minneapolis, and just focus on some baseball, some good food, some nice people. No one's going to be booing you, Joey. How about that? So
hey,
I think
come on, Joey.
Yeah, maybe that's all he needs is like a pat on the butt, and the Twins like, hey, we'll get this guy because that's what we do here is we make you feel good about yourself. So I like it. Am I going to Twins Fest? I'm not sure yet. I'm still deciding.
Figuring it out. I mean, Gallo, like you said, they have a little bit of outfield depth. They probably try to change that into something to retool. I love Vazquez, man. The guy's just a gamer. Put him behind the dish every day. If there's a big at bat in the 7th inning, he's going to give you a good at bat. And for today's catcher, that's not bad, man. So I like that for the Twins. Let's see what else they've got in the tank. Cause man, missing out on Correa. Were they going to be a mystery team for Dansby? Yeah. You felt it in Twins, like Correa. They bought what Correa was selling, and he ended up getting the big bag in the Bay. That's a nice saying.
Yeah. I think I don't know what show I mentioned it on, but like, most of the time the Twins are so far away from the elite free agents that like it doesn't sting when they don't sign him. But like Correa was like a kind of a reality for them. Like it could have definitely happened and it didn't happen. And now we'll see. They have to make some moves.
Zunino with Cleveland, that's fun. Narvaez with the Mets. I mean, when you're not mentioning a 2-year, $15 million move for a team, that's a good sign for your offseason. Go Los Mets. And our guy Hedges with the Pirates. Maybe we see the Pirates staff get a little boost from his pitch framing and you get some good stuff on the Rose rotation.
Yeah. Sorry about those 5 racks, bro. Come on to New York and buy us a dinner.
Whoops.
Sorry about you, Hedgie. Sheesh.
For the Twins, just Gallo's numbers at Target Field in his career.
Oh,
very
baby.
good. And anecdotally, last year, by far his best series of the year. Target Field.
Yeah.
Just be nice to Joey, Minnesota. You guys can do this. It's easy for you. Just be nice to him.
Here you go, Joey.
Yeah.
You got this. Bat on the ball. Dude, there's so many other big moves that we're gonna get to coming up. I mean, Bassett to Toronto, Benintendi, Taijuan Walker, Syndergaard, JD Martinez. There's gonna be a little Dodger segment coming soon.
Yeah.
We'll save that for when the big fella is back. Trev, Davis, love you guys. Was Poppy a little late today, just watching the World Cup and forgot the start of the time? Absolutely. So I'm going to wear it. Trev's going to hold it over my head for a while, but I like that. That makes Trev happy. So love you guys. Anything else?
We'll talk more on Wednesday.
Blitzball battle. Good luck, Trev.
Chick sucks.